And we're live. Woohoo!
We are live. Oh my goodness. New time, I was gonna say new place, but not really. But we are with John, aka Spooky Boy, of the Dark Explorers Paranormal Team. We have so much to ask you about, but thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to this conversation, John.
Oh, not a problem at all. I'm looking forward to it as well.
So let's dive right in, and let's start from the beginning before we get into current questions we might have. But
Okay.
how did your life, perhaps even growing up, lead you to what you are doing now,
Okay.
exploring the paranormal?
So, like I mentioned before, we have a long line of ancestors who've been dabbling into the black magic, into the witchcraft, and all that other stuff. So, their kids grew up in it, and then her great grandkids grew up in it, like myself. We came to grandma's house, and she was doing whatever she's doing in the background and stuff like that in the back of the house, and people would come in, and they would get prayed over or whatever it may be that they need. She would take care of it. In that town, my grandma was known as somebody that you just don't want to mess with on that side. So, with that being said, we grew up into just seeing shadows, hearing stuff, everything that you would consider paranormal was very normal for us. Even though as young kids, we really didn't know what was going on, and we were still terrified because we're kids. But, listening to my dad and listening to my mom talk, it was just like, okay, there's something going on, but they really didn't want to tell us or anything like that, and it's almost like now, it's not very normalized or anything like that when you want to talk about it. So it was the same thing back then. It's very normalized now to want to talk about it, but back then it was not like, hey, I'm going to go sit down and have coffee and talk about all this stuff. It was not like that. My parents tried to keep it away from us, but at the same time that they tried, it was literally every single day, almost every single house. It was nonstop almost. And my dad, to a point, became somewhat of a curandero, which is like a healer. And then, I don't know, he decided one day just to turn his life to Christ. And he used whatever ability that God gave him to turn it over to help people. So then he was, helping, praying over people. He would cleanse houses. He would he would pretty much get called to go help and release these things that are in these people's, either bodies or their homes or the land or whatever it may be. And then when we moved to where we're at now here in Temple, he went to a place, I'm not going to mention it because I don't know if they want to be out there known for that, but he came to a place here where there's a food shelter. So he asked them, hey, would you mind if I actually just sat here in the corner and pretty much anybody who wanted prayer, I would pray over them. So they said, yeah. So pretty much he did that for, I think, his last 3 years of his life. He just spent time in that food shelter, and whenever somebody came in, he would pray over them. And then when he passed away, it was almost like there was a torch being handed down. And then I took on a case a couple of years ago, probably a little bit more than that kind of defined my path on where I needed to go. Because back when I first started, I was kind of like ghosts, and I need to do this and I need to do that. And I was just hunting them down and didn't really know I had a path on where to go. But after that one case, it was just like defined, like this is where you need to be and this is where you need to go, and I actually had a dream about it and visions about it for almost a year. And for almost a year, I seen a road and it split off, and I drew it out. I did all this other stuff and could not get it out of my mind. And then that person called me for about that case. We drove all the way to Wisconsin, and I spent almost a week of doing minor rites and on people, praying over the entire family. And then there's one day, and it was the day before that we left, where I guess things just got too overwhelming, and I literally prayed over everybody. But for some reason, that energy that was there was just so overwhelming that I had to go outside. Now, it was around the same time as it is now, and in Wisconsin, there's a lot of freaking snow, so when we were up in the mountains, probably 2 hours away from anything, but we were up there, and I just needed to walk out. I just needed to walk out and regain myself, and I walked, and I do this thing with trees, and I touch them, and I try to remove energy, and I'm just, transferring energy in and out. And I decided to take a walk, and I went up the mountain, and I took a left. And as I soon as I took a left, there was that road that split off, exactly what I have been seeing for the entire year. I'm like, this is it. And immediately it was just like, it was almost like God was talking to me. He was like, okay, it's either you're going to work with me or you're not going to work with me. And from that point on, I was like, I'm working with you and this is my path. So from then on, I never looked back and been doing it ever since. But yeah, that's how it came to be.
Um, I suppose like the first question a lot of people would ask was like, when was the first time that you encountered a ghost or some spirit and you thought this is definitely real and this is definitely a ghost? And then how did it go on in terms of like, well, I can actually help other people with their ghost issues, so to speak?
So I'll ask the second question first because that one kind of relates to everything. So like I actually helped my dad doing all these minor rites and all this other stuff. So I kind of helped him with that. I didn't know about my ability to help until later when I started realizing like, okay, my prayer is a little bit different because I can put my hands on, and most people do not try to put their hands on people because whatever energy that person may have, it can be transferred over to you. So for me, I don't know what it is that I have some type of block where I can put all that energy from me into them, but I can take on what they have, but it does not affect me in either way. So I'll take on anything. So that's how I started to, start praying over people and put my hands on their forehead and just allow whatever it is to take me on, and I'm going to take it on and I'm going to remove it, so that's how that part came to be. As far as the first one, man, so it's kind of strange because, when you're a small baby, you don't really remember things. Yeah. But I've done this journey before, and it's like, okay, I need to remember when I first saw something. And it was when I was a toddler. Now, it doesn't make any sense because you don't really remember stuff. But for some reason, that exact time on that date when I was a kid, when I was a baby, it's always stuck to me. And I did some research on this house, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But for some reason, I can remember all of our family being in Olton, Texas, which is like up in the panhandle, and there's nothing out there. We were all there as a family. I forget what we were doing. I don't know exactly what we were doing, but I just know that my mom or my cousin put me next to the stairs there. And as I'm sitting there, I happened to look up towards the stairs. And when I look up, there's this black silhouette of a lady with long black hair. And it was like she was calling to me to come up the stairs. For some reason, that always, like, it burned in my mind. Like, I could never forget it. And then, like, a couple of years ago, my oldest cousin, who actually lived in that house, I asked him one day, I was like, dude, so that house in Olton, was it really haunted or was there something going on there? He's like, no. He's like, that house was like super haunted. He's like, two priests had came to the house and ran out of the house because they didn't want to do, they couldn't bless the house. Something in there either scratched them or something like that. And that both priests left. He's like, that's where my aunt, his mom, found him in a hidden doorway in the back of the room. I guess you can open up some kind of wall there and it pops open into another room. But they found him in there, just laying in there one day. But he said that this black shadow used to come out of that certain area and come into his bed and lay down with him and just play around, whatever it may be. But he was like, things would just talk to him all night long. He would see these shadows. He would see all this other stuff. He's like, to this day, he's like, nobody, I've done some research, and to this day, that house is still abandoned. Nobody's been in it. Yeah. Even the family bought it and they just built a big fence around it. Like, nobody can get in, nobody can get into it. But that's literally like my first thing that I can remember. But after that, it was just like seeing shadows in my room, talking in tongues, me praying over somebody when I was 16, and then something came up behind me and just growled, and I could just feel the heat on my neck. So I was like, okay. So that's some of the things that's happened. But yeah, it's crazy.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to articulate what I'm going to say. So I'm going to just see if you respond to what I'm trying to say. I'm kind of, my thought process is 1, HSP, 2, highly sensitive person, for those who don't know, 2, healer, and 3, almost like a Pentecostal prayer kind of goes along with the healer kind of thing. help us understand all of this as it plays out in your life, what you're doing.
So as far as the abilities, I didn't know exactly what I had exactly. I just knew that if a weird dark energy came in or whatever, I mean, I can't even say that at that time. I just knew that I felt something when something came into the room, and it was like immediate, like almost like spider senses. Like I knew exactly where it was going, who it's targeting, all this other. I mean, I just kind of knew everything. Just all that information would just get laid into me, and I was just like, I have no idea. The other one was, what would you say? It was the prayer.
Yeah, the prayer, like the almost like deliverance of some sort.
Yeah. So that's a weird one for me because I believe that certain people have it. You know, not all people have it, and some people do. You know, it's like I might get in trouble for this, but I don't care. But it's like some priests. You know, even though you're a man of the cloth, you may not have that that prayer that you need to deliver deliverance from somebody from something that's evil that's trying to come into the house. You know, help. There might be a person across the street who may have it, who have strong prayers. You know, who knows why they have it, but my dad was one of those who just had strong prayer. Like he could sit there and pray over you, and just these things would you just get healed from stuff. You know, I mean, it's weird that to even think about it like that, but I started realizing that I had some amount of that type of prayer when I actually started putting my hands on people. Now I gotten to the point to where like whatever it may be happening, like once I got into the prayer and something was trying to fight with me over that person, like my hands would get so hot that it literally felt like there was like a furnace on my hands. Like it was like they would get bright red, blotchy, and heat coming from them. I still don't know what that is to this day. But if I get deep into prayer and I'm battling something like that, my hands will start doing that. The other thing is, what did you mention? The Pentecostal something?
Oh, like the HSP, and you're a feeler, and I think your partner is as well. So the highly sensitive. How does this all play into everything you're doing?
So I mean, with that is kind of like our technique when we go investigating. So for 20 something years, almost 30 years, you know, I've dealt with ghost equipment and all this other stuff, but nothing beats what you have built in on the inside. So I kind of learned through faults, and I shouldn't have done this, and maybe I should do more of this. Is start learning to listen to myself and learning where it's focusing its energy at. Now, when I started to learn that, and I got very good at it quickly, is when I started learning what the energy is. So, like if you put your hand up like this and you just kind of move your hand back and forth, you can feel that wind. So when energy comes in like that, it feels like that to me. But it's like my ability is able to break it down to where it's almost like it's talking to me. I know I can peel back its layers. So if it comes to me as a child or whatever it may be, like my ability can discern that and be like, nah, you're not what you say you are. And I can fully understand what it's trying to do. I can fully understand where it's coming from, what it's thinking, what it's doing, when it's pissed off when we discover something. I mean, I can literally figure that out just by the energy that is coming to me. The bad part about it is that I only pick up on lower vibrational stuff. I don't pick up on anything else. You know, I could, if grandma's come into the room, I won't know. I'll just be like, okay, this house is not haunted, whatever. But if the clock strikes 12 and something bad is coming in, I mean, I'll pick it up like, oh, okay. I feel that right now. And I can literally feel that the energy changes, all the thresholds, everything that is going through, you know. But with Jordan, she actually sees them. You know, she sees everything from A to Z, and I don't really see A to Z. She sees everything and feels everything. Things do speak to her on a clear base where she can understand the conversations of what's going on. You know, so I mean, her ability with my ability, they're kind of almost separate, but when we're actually together, it's almost like I will pick up on the lower stuff and she'll pick up on the higher and the in between. So it's like, okay, we're even things out. So like during our investigations, and I don't know if anybody else does this, but when we do our investigations of residential homes, pretty much the client calls me and they give me what's going on, but I sit there and tell them, like, I don't need to know all the detail. I just need to know who's getting affected, are the shadow people, all this other stuff, voices. Okay, yeah, I just need to know the basic stuff. And if you've been doing this for a very long time, it's pretty much the basic stuff. I'm hearing voices, there's knocking, I'm seeing shadow figures. Okay, cool. That's all I need to know. So once I get to that location, I introduce myself, I introduce Jordan. I say, hey, this is our notebook. These are my 2 recorders. These are my 2 cameras. We're going to go our separate ways. And I'm going to start in this back room. She's going to start in that back room. And we sit alone in each room and writing down every single thing that comes to us. Now, because of our abilities are so different and how we do things differently and separated, by the time we get done and come together, we sit down with the client and literally tell them from Jordan's book and from my book, everything that happened in each room, separately. And then literally it's like a very high percentage that we get that everything is like accurate. And the most amazing thing is I tell people, you can't hide secrets from this because we'll pick it up. If somebody's doing something that you're not supposed to, we will pick it up. And we don't know if it's this person that's actually who lives in the house that's doing it. And we tell them it could be from the land, it could be from the previous owner, it could be from you guys, it could be from somebody who used to live here briefly or whatever it may be. But whatever imprint that they left there, we'll pick it up. If there's something traumatic, that's something that's hidden there, we will literally pick it up. So like we tell them, there's no secrets when it comes to us. We will figure out everything. You'll figure out what your kids are doing if they're not being truthful to you. So that's how we kind of work things out, and we test our abilities more often than not. Even with when we have to profile like big locations, like haunted hotels or whatever it may be, we'll sit there and just be drawn to certain rooms and write down what we think is going on, and we'll uncover things that people just really don't see or expect. So you go in there and, like, let's just say a paranormal team will go in there and be like, oh, there's a little kid in here. Okay, well, more often than not, everybody's going to follow suit and be like, yeah, that's a little kid that's named Susan. All right, we will go in there and be like, no, that's not a little kid. The energy that it's providing me, the way that it's thinking, the way that it's seeing, how smart it is, all that other stuff provides me with enough information to say, no, that's not a child. It's something else that is allowing that person, the owner, to let them stay there because they are pretending to be a child. It's like I tell everybody, an adult's not going to go punch a child in the face. If you did, and then you're pretty crazy then. But if something portrays itself as something innocent, you're not going to come at it like so boldly and all this other stuff. You're going to pretend what it is, and you're going to play with it. You're going to give it what it needs, which is the energy, the sharing, the loving, all that other stuff. And then, it's going to stay. But for us, we're like, nah, we're going to dig, and we're going to really figure out what you are and all those other things. So, but, yeah.
So,
long answer. Sorry.
no, that's all right. It's like, answered some of the questions I think both me and Christelle would ask anyway. How common would you say ghosts and paranormal activity is? I know we had the conversation in the pre-chat about how you have to make sure it's not something else first. Mm-hmm. So it's not like somebody's put a tape recorder in the wall or something like that. How common are ghosts, and can, like, if somebody like Christelle invited you to a house that was haunted, could you guarantee that you'd remove the haunting, or is it like, how does it all work like that?
So we had to put all this with our residential cases. I think residential teams who do residential cases ask more questions than people who actually do just haunted locations, simply because you want to give the clients more of a peace of mind of what's really going on into the home. More often than not, it's not really something that's ghostly that's going on. It's something that's going on with the client themselves, or the house is just bad wiring or whatever it may be. We will give you the information that to identify what's really going on. So, like I said, we'll walk into a home. We'll do our walkthrough, and then after the walkthrough, we have devices that will check for bad wiring and all this stuff, high EMFs or whatever it may be, and kind of put that on notes like, hey, I picked up some crazy energy in here in the living room, and we'll go back in and review it, and then just kind of double check. as soon as we start double checking, we'll put side notes. Okay, high EMF on the plugins, on the outlets, spikes about 250 to 300. So any of that can cause what we call a fear cage. And a lot of people, believe it or not, have abilities. Almost everybody does, but it's just where you sit on your sensitivity level and all this other stuff. Now, somebody who's been through a lot of our clients have been through something traumatic in their lives, so that opens doors for them and then allows them to become more sensitive than they think. But if you put bad wiring, high EMF on a person in the same room with a person who has that, it's almost like there are notches at a 10 and it goes all the way up to 25. And then the thing with the traumatic stuff, like people with abilities, they're able to manifest their own ghosts. So once we learn and get them to settle down on how they can perceive what's going on with themselves and all that other stuff, and in a way, it's almost like therapy, ghost therapy, or something like that. And then once they learn how to solidify that and put that on a piece of paper, or having someone to talk to normally who understands what's going on with them, then that activity actually dies down, and then they start becoming normal people, but know how to deal with what's going on. Most times, and especially in Texas, there's a lot of things on the land because, the Indians, the war, the Civil War, all that other stuff. Now, that might be a case, but that can be resolved as well. I mean, just by claiming, hey, this is my house and all this other stuff. But if there's something residual, I mean, you got to live with it. It doesn't bother you. It doesn't know that you're there. It just knows that it's going to its home, and its home used to be across the prairie on the other side, but your house is literally in the walkway, and that's all it really is. But most of the time, I mean, I say it's usually client based on what's going on in the home, but but like I said, there's a small percentage of other stuff that's usually not the clients, and it's usually not the land, and it's something else that is trying to come into the home. And Jordan right there just sent me a little ghost right there.
Hi, Jordan.
We also had a comment from Blake.
Hey, Blake, what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what it is most of the time. And I know she has a lot to say about Jordan has a lot to say about it as well. But
we need Jordan on. We'll bring Jordan on. Jordan, when you have time, message us because we'd like to bring you on and chat with you too.
Right.
Okay, so I want to you touched on something that I kind of want to get into, and it's the psychology of this all.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're touching on trauma-based, maybe when we live out of fear, we start to imagine things are happening. Is that kind of what you're touching on?
Yeah.
A lot of what you experience, trauma-based, fear-based, because of maybe the experience they had in their life. It could be abuse. It could be some sort of extremely traumatic experience. And now they're living in this cage of just ultimate fear and freaking out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 44, so I don't know how old you guys are, and it's up to you if you want to say, but like, but like people, our age group, I'll say that like that, our age group weren't brought up to like, hey, I'm seeing ghosts and all this other stuff, and I'm feeling weird things. So we kind of just kept that inside. But from that age up until we got older and things didn't get quiet up here, we resulted to having drug abuse, alcoholism, anything and everything that was shut off this, we did. But in turn, as we are now in our 40s, I'm looking for help because my life is going crazy and I don't know what to do. So with that, once we start learning and start talking to them, and we do take time to actually sit there and know their story, know what's going on, what possibly opened that door for you to make things go at a 3 or 2 or something like that, and all the way up to a 10. We kind of try to figure out what happened between all of that, so that way we can better understand and better help that person. And the same thing with people of today. The only thing is that people of today are facing more religious stuff, so, hey, we didn't grow up that way, so you're not allowed to talk to it. But at the same time, or talk about it. But at the same time, they're kind of like, I don't know who to talk to then. So they start turning to the same thing, the drugs, alcoholism, being outlandish or whatever it may be. They start doing the same thing. And then now it's getting to the point to where this is very normalized on the paranormal stuff. But at the same time, the lack of education on how to resolve this is not out there. Most people are just like, well, go find a psychic that will help you. And like, no, the psychic is not going to sit there and talk to you about, hey, this is what you really need to do. You really need to find somebody who's like-minded, who's experienced the same thing that you have, somebody who has experience in helping this type of people like yourself, and really get to set the boundaries and set things straight, and the steps that you need to take to better your life. So there is a lot of mental breakdown when it comes to that, and I hate to say, but like a lot of teams are just not prepared for that. They like to go in there and get the evidence and all that other stuff, but what happens afterwards? What happens to that family once you leave and stir things up and trying to get this thing to trigger off a light? That trigger of that light might be doomed for that family. Because you're giving it energy that it needs to turn on that light. But then if it figures out, I can turn on that light and I can do other things, then that family is just like, man, I don't know what to do, because you caused more trouble here. We ran into a lot of that here lately, is like a lot of teams would just come in, or they would pay a psychic, thousands of dollars, and come into the home and don't have a resolve, don't have nothing,
Yeah.
So we don't charge or anything like that either. So we just come out, and this is out of our own time that we take the time, and we still got clients. I still got clients on my phone from like 10 years ago, who we check on. They'll message me still, hey, everything was fine, but this so-and-so happened and I need to know what's going on. So we actually take that time and actually help them out and put them back on the path where they need to be, and I just don't think most teams do that at all. But yeah, I would say a large amount of what's going on has to be like psychological, what's going on.
So what is the most bizarre paranormal thing that you've encountered on your kind of journeys into places and things? What is the most strange thing that or strange things that you've encountered?
So for me, it takes a lot for me to even, how do you say, get jumped about something. I'm like, most of the time I'm like, okay. In residential cases, I've had people pull out knives on me. I had one person pull out a gun on me because I told them there was no demons in the house or whatever. And he got super mad about it. But, so for that type of stuff compared to something just like walking around, I'm like, totally different things. But yeah, it takes a lot for me to jump. So, or even just recognize that something's happening. So I would have to say this last case that we did, and we were just there to profile the house. So like I was talking to Tim earlier about, I'm a professional photographer of 20 something years. So a lot of locations will message me like, hey, I want some photos done at the house, and you have this creepy little style, and I really want it done. So that's what happened in Cleburne at the 209 house. So she was just literally like, hey, I want you there, get some photos, get some evidence, all this other stuff. I'm like, cool, that's pretty awesome. We've been there all day long. And in the beginning, in the daylight, it just felt like a normal house. Yeah. There was like literally nothing, just quiet. The moment that the sun set, it was like it had a life of its own. Like, I have no idea what triggered it, but we only investigated and here is, I guess, this past Saturday, it started freezing here in Texas. So like, doesn't matter where you were at, you were going to get cold and get frozen. That was it. So we were at this house and we were going to sleep there, but my Jordan was like, I just really want to get home and it's warm there and all this other stuff. So we will hang out, until like 11:30 or something like that. And okay, cool. So Tracy came in and it was like around 7:30 or something like that. And she's like, I'm going to do a little small TikTok live for you guys. And I'm only going to be here for about 30 minutes or so. I was like, okay, let's start about 8. So literally we started at 8 o'clock. We are only there from 8 to 10. And within that 2-hour time frame, we got the most craziest evidence that we've captured in a long time. Like we were doing a session in the back room and this kind of freaked out the girls and kind of made me like, who the hell's going down there? But we were on the second floor. We were asking questions about this person or whatever it may be who does not like women at all. And it didn't like the fact that Jordan had blue hair, didn't like the fact that Tracy was co-owner of the house. I mean, it did not like it at all. And we were kind of just poking the bear, like, give me what's more, give me some more. And as soon as I opened the door to go back downstairs, and it was me in the front, Tracy in the middle, and then it was Jordan in the back. We're just walking down. As soon as we get to the stairway, we hear like 5 or 6 footsteps literally running up the stairs, like somebody was like literally in the house. You could hear boom, 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 and to the point where we just stopped and we all looked down. And when we looked down, there was nobody there, and we were like, we literally just heard somebody running up the stairs. So I tell Jordan and Tracy to go back to the back room. I'll go check it out. So I get my flashlight, I pull out my knife just in case somebody's down there, because it literally sounded like somebody was physically there. Went back down there, came back and checked all the rooms, checked the doors were closed and locked. Everything was closed and locked. And I was like, dude, we literally had that and seen that and heard that. Like, what in the world just happened? But at that, about, what was it? About 30 minutes prior, we were doing EVPs, and it was a class A. I don't know if you know class A's or anything, class B's, class C's, but the class A is pretty much where you can just push play on the recorder, and it's pretty much sounds like how me and you are right now. It's a class, So I put down the recorder and I put it on the stair post, push record. I said, push and record, putting it down, and John walking away. And as soon as I say that, class A EVP goes, "I'm behind you." And I was like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, that one was very recent. Very recent, actually this past weekend. So that one was kind of like a little hair raising, a little bit, but I was kind of like, I'm gonna go back. I want to go back. I need to go back. Yeah. But the one before that, I mean, that was kind of a long story. I don't know if we got time for that, but that one has to do with a minor rite. When I was praying over somebody, but the timeline of it is kind of a little bit tedious, but it all happens in one day. But I don't know if you want to go into that.
What's a minor rite?
So it's almost like an exorcism, but it's not really. So a minor rite is just pretty much me praying over somebody and trying to remove that energy that is on them, trying to remove that entity that is on them. Nothing like an exorcism where you need priests and all that other stuff. So it's nothing like that. It's almost like when you go to church and somebody prays over you. That's considered a minor rite. But a little bit more intense.
Yeah. So is possession a real thing then? I mean,
it is, but it is not as
not head swiveling round kind of.
No, I mean it is, but at the same time, it's not. It doesn't happen every single day, like YouTube videos suggest or TikTok suggests or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's probably, probably like 1 or 2% of them, maybe something like that. So yeah, it happens, but it's very, very, very rare. Same thing with demonic activity. There's little. I mean, if you believe in that type of stuff, there's levels to it. So you got the bigger names, and then you got the smaller names, and it goes down and goes down and goes down. So each one of those lower ones have a job to do. So once they go into a house and do their job, it kind of sets up for other things to allow to come and happen. So there are levels to it, but I think when people say demonic, they really think of the higher, bigger, stronger names. And I don't like to say the names just because, but they tend to think that is what's going on, and it's truly not what's going on. You would truly know when you walk into a place of there's something very demonic going on. You would recognize it pretty easily. With just what's going on.
Okay, we have to wrap up. This has been fascinating, and I could keep asking a billion questions, and I just need to stop. But who should contact you, and how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so if anybody is going through anything supernatural, anything with, they think that the house is haunted, or they think, like some people think that they have a curse on them, if any of that is happening, then you can just contact me. It's on Dark Explorers Paranormal on Facebook, or if you just want to direct call me or send me a text message, it's 945-4284. And just contact John or Jordan.
Awesome. John, thank you for being here. We're going to have Jordan on as well. Kind of her experience, see what her word is on this. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you everyone for joining us. And hopefully you guys can all come back. We'll see you again soon.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much for being a guest. And I'm going to actually play the outro now. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.
This is what God requires.